problem for Blake Lively, in my opinion, is that she does not improve upon acquaintance. And so the more time we got to spend with Blake Lively, the less we liked her, the more her promotional efforts for a film about domestic violence felt off.
Blake Lively, once celebrated as Hollywood's golden girl, is now facing an unprecedented public meltdown after explosive revelations about her past were brought to light by Megyn Kelly. For years, Lively has carefully curated an image of perfection, balancing her career with a seemingly flawless personal life. However, Kelly's bombshell expose has shattered that carefully constructed persona, exposing a dark side to the actress that many never saw coming. Accusations of manipulation, cruel behavior, and behind-the-scenes power plays have left the public stunned and questioning the true character of the actress. As the fallout continues, Blake Lively's reputation hangs in the balance. The darker side of Blake Lively's Hollywood career. Despite her public persona as Hollywood's golden girl, Blake's real-life behavior appears to contradict the flawless image she has projected. Behind closed doors, it's alleged that Blake has used manipulation and bullying tactics to maintain control over her career, her co-stars, and even those in power behind the scenes. Megyn Kelly, a prominent journalist, has played a significant role in exposing what many have claimed is the darker side of Blake Lively's career. Blake's supposed meltdown following Kelly's expose comes as no surprise to some who have been quietly aware of her less-than-stellar reputation in the industry. According to reports, Blake has bulldozed over people, humiliated them on live television, and used her Hollywood clout to ensure she remained untouchable. But with the help of Kelly, who has now dragged Blake's dirty laundry out into the public eye, Blake's empire of manipulation is beginning to crumble. Blake's career has not been built solely on talent or charm. Instead, it appears to have been a careful mix of power plays, calculated alliances, and sometimes playing the victim when things didn't go her way. The public has long believed Blake was a victim of Hollywood's harshness, particularly as she navigated through the spotlight with her private life intertwined with her career. However, those who have worked with her firsthand have noted a different story. One of a woman who meticulously crafted an image that was far removed from the reality of her actions. Gossip Girl and the Penn Badgley smear campaign, Blake Lively's time on Gossip Girl, was a formative period in her career. As the show gained immense popularity, it became clear that Blake was positioning herself not just as an actress, but as a dominant force in the entertainment industry. However, according to reports and an infamous interview from 2009, Blake wasn't just focusing on her role as Serena van der Woodsen. She was actively working behind the scenes to manipulate the cast, particularly her co-star Penn Badgley, who played her love interest, Dan Humphrey. In the interview, Blake candidly admitted that she intentionally poisoned the entire Gossip Girl cast against Penn, simply because she didn't initially like him. While she admitted that her feelings towards him had changed, and he turned out to be a nice guy, the damage had already been done. According to Blake, she spent a week poisoning the perception of Penn in the eyes of the cast, turning her colleagues against him without any real justification other than her own discomfort with him. This revelation casts a dark shadow over Blake's persona. What might have seemed like harmless gossip or playful drama during her youth now appears as a deliberate attempt at manipulating the narrative and asserting control over her colleagues. This type of behavior would not be isolated. According to other sources, Blake's pattern of turning people against each other and exerting power over her co-stars continued long after Gossip Girl ended. Whether it was through strategic friendships, subtle manipulation, or downright bullying, Blake crafted a network of people who were loyal to her while simultaneously alienating anyone who posed a threat to her rise in Hollywood. The fallout with Leighton Meester and others. One of the most significant revelations about Blake's behavior came in the form of her strained relationship with Leighton Meester, who portrayed Blair Waldorf on Gossip Girl. On screen, Serena and Blair were best friends, but off-screen, their relationship was far from harmonious. Blake's relentless pursuit of fame and desire to stay in the spotlight reportedly clashed with Leighton's more focused approach to acting, leading to a rift between the two women. Sources close to the show revealed that Blake became increasingly frustrated with Leighton, feeling that her co-star was less concerned with building a celebrity brand and more interested in the craft of acting. According to some, Blake's constant need to stay relevant and in control of her image led to tension between the two. By the time Gossip Girl wrapped its final season, Blake and Leighton were reportedly no longer speaking, and their friendship had deteriorated into a professional relationship that had little emotional connection. In addition to Leighton, many of Blake's other co-stars, including Penn Badgley, have remained silent amid the legal and public drama surrounding her. Neither Penn nor Leighton has spoken out in defense of Blake, and in fact, both have reportedly distanced themselves from her, choosing not to follow her on social media or publicly acknowledge her presence. This silence speaks volumes. These were individuals who worked closely with Blake for years, and yet not a single one has come forward to vouch for her character. The power play. Blake Lively's Hollywood manipulation tactics. Blake's Hollywood career is built on more than just her acting skills. As her public persona has evolved, so too has her ability to manipulate the systems that control her career. She has learned the art of maneuvering through various aspects of Hollywood, from aligning herself with powerful figures to securing roles that elevate her profile. One of the more telling moments in her career came during a speech at the 2022 Forbes Power Women Summit, where Blake inadvertently revealed her own playbook for industry domination. While the speech was intended to inspire women to take charge of their careers, Blake's words took on a different meaning when examined closely. In her speech, she described how she would often show up on set, pretending to be just an actress who was willing to follow the script and meet the expectations of the director. However, once she had secured a role, she would begin to inject her own creative ideas into the production, pushing the boundaries of her role and influencing decisions that should have been left to the director and other creative leaders. Blake's admission that she wanted more authorship and often manipulated directors into letting her take creative control over the project was a startling revelation. She described how she would sometimes be welcomed into the process by directors who appreciated her ideas, while other times she faced resistance. The irony, however, was that she seemed to find it amusing that she could manipulate directors and producers into allowing her to rewrite scripts, alter character arcs, and essentially hijack projects. Her approach was not just about acting, it was about controlling the narrative. And as she later confessed, this wasn't a one-time occurrence. It was a recurring strategy that she employed in nearly every project, carefully inserting herself into the creative process and edging out those who were supposed to be in charge. Justin Baldy lawsuit, the exposé that could bring it all down. Blake Lively's years of calculated power, plays, and manipulation came to a head in 2023 when Justin Baldy, the director of It Ends With Us, filed a lawsuit against her. Baldy accused Blake of taking control of his movie, overriding his creative vision, and pushing him out of the project. According to the lawsuit, Blake's interference in the production process mirrored exactly what she had previously bragged about in her 2022 speech, taking over a project and asserting her authority where it wasn't welcome. Baldy's company had financed the film, secured the rights, and spent years developing it. Yet, the moment Blake became involved, the dynamics shifted. She allegedly used her status and influence to take control of the project, sidelining Baldy's creative vision and undermining his role as the director. Blake's manipulation extended beyond simple creative input. She was accused of using her star power to push other creatives out of the picture, rewriting the rules of the project to suit her own needs. In the legal battle, Baldy claims that Blake pretended to be just an actress, allowing the filmmakers to hire her with the understanding that she would remain in the background. However, once she was in, Blake allegedly exerted full control, rewriting the narrative of the film to fit her own agenda. This lawsuit is not just about one film, it's about a larger pattern of behavior that Blake has honed over the years, a career built on manipulation, alliances, and taking control of situations for her personal gain. While she has successfully built a reputation for herself as Hollywood royalty, it's becoming clear that her reign might be coming to an end, as more and more of her manipulative tactics come to light. The takeover, a calculated move to centralize power. What followed can only be described as a textbook case of manipulation and power dynamics in Hollywood. As Baldy found himself increasingly pushed out of key creative discussions, Lively's role expanded beyond acting. She brought in new producers and editors who were aligned with her vision for the film, further diminishing Baldy's influence. Industry insiders were shocked at how quickly and efficiently Lively had managed to take over, leveraging her celebrity status to manipulate the production and coerce key players into backing her version of events. The power dynamics were shifting. Baldy was no longer calling the shots in his own film. In interviews, Lively had always been quick to praise her ability to collaborate with directors, often highlighting how she contributed to the creative process by offering ideas and suggestions. But what was once framed as collaboration now seemed like a tactical move to seize control of projects and rewrite the narrative. One insider even referred to Lively's behavior as strategic subversion, claiming that her methods were designed to make herself indispensable while sidelining others. This manipulation had been an underlying theme of her career from the very beginning, but now it was unfolding in real time. The final cut, Blake Lively's bold power play. By late 2023, Blake Lively was reportedly demanding final cut approval on It Ends With Us, a privilege traditionally reserved for the director or, in some cases, the studio. This was a move that shocked many in the industry, as it was clear that Lively wasn't just an actress looking to contribute to the film. She was actively trying to seize ownership of it. Baldy, who had spent years developing the project, was now relegated to a peripheral role. While it was typical for actors to offer input into the process, what Lively was doing went far beyond that. She was essentially rewriting the story to fit her personal agenda, sidelining the creative vision of the director in favor of her own. But perhaps the most striking example of Lively's calculated manipulation came with the release of the film. Insiders claimed that Baldy's version of It Ends With Us had been tested with audiences and had scored far better than Lively's cut. Despite this, Lively insisted that her version be released, completely overriding Baldy's. This wasn't just a difference in creative opinion. It was a stark example of Lively's quest for control. The film was no longer a product of Baldy's vision. It was hers, the premiere, a moment of humiliation for Justin Baldy. The culmination of this takeover came in May 2024, with the highly anticipated New York City premiere of It Ends With Us. The event was meant to celebrate the success of the film, but instead, it became a public spectacle that highlighted just how far Lively had gone to make the project her own. Baldy, the director who had poured years of effort into the film, was not allowed to attend the main event. Instead, he was reportedly relegated to the basement, a humiliating final blow to his involvement in a project he had worked tirelessly to bring to life. As Lively basked in the limelight, her PR team made sure to position her at the center of the story. News coverage and interviews were focused entirely on her, with little to no mention of Baldy's role in the film. Even more telling was the fact that Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, unfollowed Baldy on Instagram just hours after the premiere. This public act of severing ties sent a loud and clear message that Blake had fully taken control, and anyone who opposed her was to be discarded. For Baldy, this was not just a professional defeat, it was deeply personal. He had been completely erased from the narrative of It Ends With Us, despite being the one who had fought to bring the film to fruition. The public humiliation, combined with Lively's calculated manipulation, left Baldy in a position where he was no longer recognized for his work. A pattern of control. How Blake Lively gets what she wants. What happened with It Ends With Us is far from an isolated incident. Over the years, Blake Lively has developed a reputation for using her celebrity status to manipulate situations to her advantage. Whether it was her early years on Gossip Girl, where she was rumored to have poisoned the cast against her co-star Penn Badgley, or her more recent actions on film sets, Lively's tactics have remained consistent. She knows how to make herself indispensable, and once she does, she takes control. Her approach to Hollywood has always been about maintaining an image of the perfect actress, charming, graceful, and collaborative. But behind that image lies a woman who will stop at nothing to get what she wants. From making bold moves on set to rewriting scripts and making creative decisions that weren't hers to make, Lively's ability to manipulate the system has allowed her to maintain a position of power in Hollywood. The rise of Blake Lively's ambitions, it began with a seemingly simple casting decision in the film adaptation of It Ends With Us, based on Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel. At first glance, everything seemed to be lining up perfectly. A book that had captured millions of hearts, a film adaptation poised to bring that story to the big screen, and an actress like Blake Lively who could carry the role of Lily Bloom. But what appeared to be a dream collaboration quickly revealed itself to be a power play, a calculated move that would allow Blake to maneuver her way into control of the entire project. Blake Lively wasn't just signing on to portray a character. She had much bigger aspirations. The film, originally helmed by Justin Baldy, who had secured the film rights in 2019 and spent years developing the project, became a battleground for power. Baldy, a talented yet relatively unknown director, had poured his heart into bringing It Ends With Us to life, envisioning a raw, emotional film that would tackle difficult conversations about domestic violence. But as Blake entered the picture, her presence grew more significant than just that of a lead actress. Blake Lively's strategic takeover. Blake Lively's strategy was clear from the beginning. Make herself indispensable to the project, slowly insert herself into creative decisions, and ultimately take over the film. Her early influence started with seemingly minor suggestions and edits to the script, but over time, her role expanded to the point where she was demanding full-scale rewrites. The line between actress and executive began to blur as she took control of the film's direction, much to the dismay of Baldy, who had spent years developing the story. Baldy's original vision for It Ends With Us was quickly overshadowed as Blake's demands intensified. She wasn't just playing the role of Lily Bloom, she was rewriting scenes, dictating changes to the script, and making executive decisions that would shape the entire project. Her ability to manipulate those around her, particularly Baldy, who lacked the industry power to fight back, became a hallmark of her control. She wasn't interested in collaborating. She wasn't just contributing. She wanted ownership. Slowly, Baldy, the man who had fought for the film's existence, was pushed to the periphery. A director in the shadows. By mid-2023, the project had ceased to be Baldy's film. Blake had essentially taken over, forcing the director into a role that could only be described as an afterthought. Baldy was no longer invited to key meetings. His vision for the film, which had been praised by many, was completely disregarded. Blake's influence grew so strong that she demanded final cut approval, a privilege that traditionally belongs either to the director or the studio. For Baldy, this was a crushing blow. He had fought for the project for years, only to watch it slip away from his grasp at the hands of someone who had entered the picture much later. Blake's calculated power play didn't stop there. As the production ramped up, she leveraged her deep connections in Hollywood to bring in new editors and producers who were aligned with her vision. Baldy was sidelined further, and his version of the film was discarded. The real power struggle wasn't about the quality of the film. It was about who would emerge as the victor in the Hollywood game of control. The premiere, the final public humiliation. By the time it ends with Us premiered in New York City in May 2024, Blake's takeover was complete. The premiere was meant to celebrate the film's release. But for Justin Baldy, it was anything but a celebration. He wasn't allowed on the main floor. He wasn't even allowed to attend the premiere in the way a director should. Instead, he was relegated to the basement, a cruel reminder of how far Blake had pushed him aside. His role in the creation of the film, which he had nurtured for years, was wiped out, leaving Blake to bask in the spotlight. The public relations campaign surrounding the premiere did nothing to help Baldy. The media coverage focused entirely on Blake Lively, with headlines that featured her name and her dazzling red carpet appearance. The industry was captivated by her presence. Meanwhile, Justin Baldy was nothing more than a shadow of his former self, relegated to the background in the very project he had worked so tirelessly to create. The media manipulation begins when the premiere concluded and the media frenzy began. Blake's PR machine went into full damage control mode. Reports began to surface, suggesting that Justin Baldy had fat-shamed Blake Lively during filming, a scandalous accusation that seemed to come out of nowhere. The media quickly ran with the story, and soon the narrative was being shaped to cast Baldy as the villain. But the truth, as many industry insiders would later point out, was far more complicated. Baldy had, in fact, asked about Blake's weight only before a physically demanding scene to ensure her safety, a standard practice in the industry. However, the media, under Blake's direction, twisted this innocent conversation into an attack on her. This was not the first time Blake had weaponized the media. Throughout her career, she had mastered the art of managing her public image. Whether it was through strategic leaks, subtle hints, or carefully staged moments, Blake had always controlled how the public saw her. But this time, the backlash was more than just a fleeting scandal. It was a full-scale crisis that threatened to bring her carefully constructed empire down. The leaked messages, a deeper look into Blake's power play. The situation reached a boiling point when leaked messages from Blake's inner circle emerged, providing further insight into her manipulative tactics. In these texts, Blake referred to Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift as her dragons, her personal enforcers who would help her manage the fallout from the growing scandal. Ryan, of course, played his part flawlessly, unfollowing Justin Baldy on Instagram in a clear signal of loyalty to Blake. But it was Taylor Swift's actions that truly highlighted the extent of Blake's control. Blake had long paraded her friendship with Taylor Swift as a cornerstone of her public image, carefully using it to project an aura of inclusivity and charm. But as the controversy surrounding Blake's actions intensified, Taylor began to pull back, recognizing that aligning herself with Blake could have disastrous consequences for her own career. Taylor, who had been trying to distance herself from Hollywood drama, could no longer afford to be caught up in Blake's manipulative schemes. The legal battle. Justin Baldy strikes back. Amid the media frenzy, Justin Baldy was preparing for the real fight, the legal battle that would finally allow him to reclaim control. In early 2025, Baldy's legal team filed a defamation lawsuit against the New York Times, accusing the publication of printing false accusations against him without evidence. But the real bombshell came when Baldy's team presented text messages that proved Blake's allegations were exaggerated or outright fabricated. The evidence was clear, and it was beginning to look like Blake's calculated power grab was finally catching up to her. The lawsuit threw Hollywood into chaos, forcing the industry to ask the question: had Blake Lively used her industry connections to weaponize the media and destroy Justin Baldy's career? Had she manipulated the public narrative to protect her own takeover of It Ends With Us, no matter the cost? Colleen Hoover's quiet withdrawal. The final blow came when Colleen Hoover, the author whose book had been the catalyst for the entire film project, distanced herself from Blake. Initially, Hoover had publicly supported Blake, even defending her during the drama. But by February 2025, Hoover had quietly erased all traces of Blake from her social media. She no longer mentioned Blake in interviews, and it was as though their partnership had never existed. The woman whose book Blake had fought so hard to adapt had completely withdrawn from the project, unwilling to associate herself with the toxic situation surrounding the film. As the truth unraveled, Blake's reign began to crumble. What was once a career based on manipulation, control, and strategic alliances had turned into an all-out war, with the actress at the center of the storm. Hollywood insiders were left to wonder how much longer she could maintain her carefully curated image before the world saw her for what she truly was: a ruthless, calculating individual willing to sacrifice anyone in her path to claim victory.